What a wacky qualifying session at Kansas. I mean, you got Daniel Hemric on the pole. RCR has had qualifying speed all year, so that's not completely surprising. But in the top 10, you have David Reagan starting on the outside pole. You have Michael McDowell in there. Austin Dillon, as I said, RCR has been really good at qualifying this year. Bubba Wallace is in the top 10, and Ryan Newman's up there in 7th. So we got some crazy results, and only, 2 or 3 guys in the playoffs qualified in the top 10, and 2 of those 3 are already advanced. So we could actually see a little bit of a shakeup here at Kansas. So we're going to discuss that. We're going to discuss just overall the weird qualifying. And I thought it was like halfway through qualifying when David Reagan went out, but he was like second to last to go. So that was weird, but big moment for Daniel Hemric, obviously. His first career pole. Only has a few starts left with Richard Childress Racing before he loses that ride to Tyler Reddick. A really good lap for him. He beat the whole field. Really good starting spot. He's going to probably lead the first couple laps, I'd assume. But he is going to have a couple Penske guys right behind him to compete. So as we've seen in the past, RCR's speed has fallen off throughout the race after they qualify really good. But if they can keep it up there, keep them in contending speed, it'll be interesting to see how they do, to see if they can contend for a win. Top 5, top 10, stage points. If they can win the stage, that'd be cool. But it'll be interesting to see how Hemric holds up against Blaney and Keselowski starting 3rd and 4th, and even Kyle Larson, who's starting 5th. Kyle Larson's had a few really good runs at Kansas in the past. I expect him to be a contender for the win, especially after this weird, wacky qualifying. But let's talk about that real quick. The playoff drivers in this, I'm amazed at the qualifying results. 3 guys in the top 10, and Blaney, Keselowski, and Larson have all run well at Kansas in the past. Blaney, he's won a couple stages in the past. I think it was 2 years ago he won some stages. Got a top 5 here last year, or at least he was running in the top 5 before a crash. He's run well at Kansas in the past. Keselowski, obviously the spring winner of this race. Kyle Larson last year got a top 5. I think he actually finished runner-up in this race last year. So he's run well at Kansas in the past. But, man, the other playoff drivers, there's some guys that, like Mark Truex Jr. starting 11th. He's in a really good points position, I believe. Over 30, 40 points above the cutoff line. So unless he blows an engine or something and everyone else has a really good day, he should be fine. But Chase Elliott qualified 14th. Usually for a playoff driver, that's not that good, but that could be prime position for him. I think he's still in a must-win position, but if something were to happen late race with the 22 or the 2 and they were to fall off, maybe finish 20th or something, if Chase Elliott can rack up some points in stage 1 and keep Logano from scoring stage points, that would be huge for that team. They would make up significant points. And looking at this list, some of the cars that he could pass, assuming these cars fall off, I think he could pass his teammate Jimmy Johnson a couple spots in front of him. Eric Almirola, I think he could pass Bubba Wallace, Austin Dillon, I think Ryan Newman could do pretty well. Michael McDowell maybe, if Reagan and Hemric fall off. So that's 6 or 7 spots, and that's 4 or 5 points. I mean, obviously he's behind 22 points, so he's going to need more than 4 or 5 points. But if every point he can get back would be great. But obviously they are going to want to win to make it. I think it is a must-win situation. But it's a big if scenario, so I think they could be a little aggressive with the calling. But they do need to eventually set up for the end of the race trying to win. But if they can, get yourself some stage points in stage 1 to try to outlast your competitors. Alex Bowman starting 16th, same thing as Chase Elliott, I would say. Just follow your teammate or just pass them or something. Get in front of these guys that you're better than, like Austin Dillon, Bubba Wallace. But Bowman has had a run-in with Austin Dillon and Bubba Wallace, so he can't screw around with those too much. Kyle Busch 18th, he's pretty good on points. And then 21st, Clint Boyer, bad qualifying day for him. He's in a must-win situation, 24 points back, so he's going to need to get up there, get some stage points if he even wants a chance at pointing his way in. William Byron, 25th. Denny Hamlin, 23rd. It's ugly. Joey Logano, 29th. That's a bad start for him. He's in by 18 points, but starting the race, he's only ahead 3 points. I mean, so obviously I don't think he's going to stay back there, but if something were to happen in the mid-back of the pack and he were to be involved, that would be detrimental to his championship chances. So Bad qualifying session for Logano. Kevin Harvick did not qualify due to him failing inspection, then themselves reporting themselves because something was wrong with the car, and then they failed inspection a couple other times. So car chief ejected. Next week they will lose 15 minutes of practice time at Martinsville, and then also they did not qualify, and I don't think there's any other punishment after that. But Joey Gase out-qualified Kevin Harvick. GOAT. Anyways, back to the point. These playoff drivers did not qualify well today, which is really, really surprising. But I think that's a big opportunity for Chase Elliott and Alex Bowman to get up there, get some stage points. I don't know how their cars are, if they're short-run cars, if they're long-run cars, but they need to get up there, score some points in stage one, and just out-point their opponents, basically. They can't point their way in, I don't think, but they do have to prepare for a situation, I think, if something were to happen. We've seen weird things happen at Kansas in the past. We've seen crazy big crashes on the backstretch. We've seen engines blow up for top contending cars. We've seen tire problems. And I think they're running a new tire this weekend, so there's no saying how it could go. So I think if you're Elliott and Bowman, I think you do have to go for some early stage points. But Joey Logano, if you remember, he qualified in the 20s, I believe, at Las Vegas. And he charged his way through the field to win stage one and led over 100 laps in that race before running into some problems. So if Joey Logano were to do that again, that'd be insane. He's starting almost 30th. But I just think that I don't think that's a lot of cars to pass for Logano, even just to get a couple stage points. There'd have to be some cautions maybe, some strategy calls. So I think Elliott and Bowman, Gustafson and Ives on top of those pit boxes, they got to be a little aggressive with the calls for stage points in stage one. Just preparing for any type of situation, especially if you're looking at the 22 to see if he has a problem. Obviously, if someone behind you wins, you can't advance through that. But I think those guys got to be prepared. Obviously, Blaney and Larson, nothing to lose going through. Keselowski, he's up front. He could win the stage, gain a playoff point, basically pull himself away. I think he's only got like a 20-point gap. So if he were to win stage one or get a top 5 in stage one, he would extend that gap just a little bit. So if he had a problem, but there's a lot of things that could happen with the points and stuff. But Kansas, as I said, you got a multi-groove track. Lots of things happen. The last winner at this track was Keselowski. The Hemric Motorsports cars ran pretty well in the spring. Defending winner Chase Elliott. But realistically, I think they get eliminated. The 3 Hemric cars and Boyer all get eliminated. I don't see any of them winning. I don't see any of them pointing their way in. I don't see any type of catastrophe happening for Logano or Keselowski. But my win pick, remember last year, the guy who won Dover won Kansas. I'm going to go with that. I think that Kyle Larson, he's on a little bit of a hot streak right now. Obviously, he crashed out at Talladega, but he ran really well at Dover, won that race. I think that he had a really good run at, what's this place called again? Kansas. He had a really good run at Kansas last year at this race. I think he does it again, has a really good car, top 5 car, leads some laps, and I think he gets his second one of the season at Kansas to add some more playoff points to his resume. So I think Kyle Larson gets it done at Kansas. Crazy qualifying session. Daniel Hemric on the pole. David Reagan, his best qualifying session in quite a while. Absolutely incredible. Michael McDowell up there, great day for Front Row Motorsports. Both RCR cars in the top 10. Bubba Wallace in the top 10. It'll be an interesting race to see how this all plays out the first 30, 40 laps, to see how Hemric, Reagan, McDowell, Dillon, Wallace, to see how they all hold up and to see if they can hold their positions or maybe even just stay where they are, improve a little bit, fight with guys like Truex, Jimmy Johnson, Chase Elliott, Alex Bowman, Eric Almirola, to see if they can fight with those guys for their spots. So it'll be an interesting race, cutoff race. As I said, I think those 3 Hendrick drivers and Clint Boyer get eliminated. They're too far back on points. I don't think they can make that up. I don't see catastrophe happening. I don't see Logano just sucking all day. So I just don't think those guys can make up that many points. And I think that they get eliminated. And then the Larson win, obviously no one advances on winning anymore because Larson's already advanced. So it would just be playoff points for him. But that would make the round of 8 Kyle Larson, Ryan Blaney off of wins. And then you got Keselowski, Truex, Hamlin, Kyle Busch, a couple other guys. Joey Logano and someone else. I don't know. Denny Hamlin. I think I already said him. Kevin Harvick. That's it. Kevin Harvick, watch him go up and win the race, honestly. He's had weird things where he's gone up and won the race from the back. So it'll be interesting. But as I said, I got Kyle Larson money. If you like this video, leave it a big fat like. You know what? I'm going to give you a challenge. That Ryan Blaney reaction video is almost to 1,000 views. It's like less than 200 views away. So you should go check that out up here. It'll be up here somewhere. Give that a nice click. Go watch my reaction to Ryan Blaney winning at Talladega from the grandstands. Get that sucker to 1,000 views. That'd be pretty neat. We're at 381 subscribers, so you should subscribe to get us to 400 subscribers. That'd be clutch.